Oh, I love it. Love newspapers. Love newspaper headlines. The newspapers still exist, even in digital form. Anyway, that's a commentary for a different day. But this headline says the Warriors have huge experience advantage over the Mavericks, and they're questioning if that matters. Well, that's a good question. I don't know if they can answer it as well as our next guest can. She's back for her second time on Brother from Another. She was so dynamic last week, and I heard from all your people, Natalie. I heard from all of your people. Hey, Natalie was great. She's better than both of you guys. It should be her show. You should have her back on, all kinds of stuff. So,
I didn't
Natalie,
tell anyone to say that.
Hey, that's all right.
Thank you.
You didn't make them say it. They love you so much, so they're just trying to stand up for you. But I'm excited because the last time we talked, it was Grizzlies, it was Dubs. You were talking about the pettiness that was going on in the series. And I don't know, did we talk to you before? I think we talked to you before the game, the whoop that trick game, where the Warriors lose by 39. And Mike Smith is not here, but we got to talk about him. Mike Smith says, oh, watch out. The Warriors are in trouble now. There's going to be a game 7. Hey, they might win this series, on and on. And I was like, man, calm down. But anyway.
Wow. I'm disappointed in that take.
What did you learn, before we get to the Mavericks series, tell me, what did you learn from game 5, the Warriors in game 5, and the Warriors closeout in game 6? Just what did you learn about this team?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I didn't take much from that game 5. There were a lot of narratives. Oh, championship teams don't lose like this. They don't, but it's just not true. I mean, there were examples from like the Heat in 2013. They had some blowout games during their run. Last year's Bucks, I think, had like 2 blowout games, one versus the Nets, one versus the Hawks, and they still won. So I thought people were being like really overboard. When a team gets blown out like that, there's not much you can take from the game, right? I mean, it was in Memphis. It was always going to be hard to win. I don't think anyone saw them getting down by like 50 points at one point and then losing the game by 39. But there wasn't much to take away. And I think pretty early, the lead just got out of hand. And like, they were like, all right, this is pointless. We have a game 6 at home. Let's just like reshift and focus for that. So I also feel like the Warriors aren't getting enough credit for having to adjust on the fly, because Memphis becomes a different team when Ja isn't on the court. And I'm not saying they become a better team. They become a better defensive team. I don't think anyone can dispute that. But they certainly become a different team, and you have to play them differently. And that was an adjustment the Warriors had to make on the fly. And they eventually did, and they closed out the series. So I didn't take much from the game 5. I thought the banter was funny. It was cool. I don't think the players took it as seriously as the fans. And then, they gave up, the Grizzlies put up a hard fight in game 6. I think that's where you saw they missed Ja, not so much for during the whole duration of the game, but when it got tight, someone too close, like for the half court sets, because he's really all they have. They're not a great, in terms of half court offense, they're not like a great half court team. So I think, the ability to have someone that can close, that's where they really missed him. And the Warriors were able to put them away. And that's where you really saw their expertise and their experience show. And they, that was it. Like once it came time to close, they came and did the job that we expected them to do. And Andrew Wiggins was huge. And I meant to shout him out the last time I was on your show, and I didn't, but he was so huge in that game. And he really set the tone.
Yeah, he made some big shots. I mean, think about that 3 he made in the fourth quarter from the right side in that game to really put them up or to keep them, because, Memphis was pushing and Dylan Brooks was making some shots, and Andrew Wiggins came down and gave him some big answers. So that's that.
He did.
But I'll say this, you know what, Natalie? I'm going to attempt to answer the San Jose Mercury News headline question. Does experience matter? Of course it does. Of course the Warriors' experience matters. Now, does it matter and does it guarantee series victory? Those are 2 different questions. But does it matter? Yeah. Because I think the Warriors, and this is why I wasn't worried about Memphis, even though it was close to 3-2 and Steph was struggling from 3-point range, the Warriors essentially beat Memphis at its own game at times. Like, okay, all right, you're a lockdown defensive team, so are we. You know we're a lockdown defensive team, you know that, right? Oh, you think that just because you take away our three-point shooting, we can't find ways to win? We can do that. And it's funny how people forget it. In the Minnesota series, Minnesota was just called chokers, right? Minnesota, they were the chokers. When they had a couple of huge leads on Memphis, they lost the game. Yep. Minnesota chokes, props to Memphis. Well, how about game 4? Memphis leads by 47 minutes, 47 of the 48. Golden State comes in at the end and takes it from them, and that's a problem. How's that a problem? Why is that not a choke from Memphis? So I really feel like they're the old dudes at the playground who come by, take on the spry, athletic, cocky youngsters and say, okay, we got y'all. Even though you may have a little more athletic ability, we got y'all because we know how to play the game.
No, I think that that's an excellent analysis, because the narratives, or like the way people talk about it, is different. It's like the Memphis Grizzlies should be up and they let a few games go. No, the Warriors took it. They understand when you're on the road and you're away. You talked about game 4, but even in game 1, that game that they won, that Draymond got, ejected from, they knew what they needed to do for the game to just stay within distance, stay close. And then they, did what they had to do at the end of the game. And I mean, really, it didn't have to be that close because Klay missed 2 free throws. And how often is that going to happen? Right. So, and then there was also it was like, oh, well, Ja just missed a shot he doesn't, that he would always make. But Klay Thompson altered that shot, and he's not getting credit for the defense he played on that last possession. So, yeah, I mean, people keep talking about our experience, the Warriors' experience, and it almost offends me a little bit.
Oh, I like the hour. Yeah, listen, don't run away from that. Don't run away from it.
It's just, it was a little offensive because it's not just experience. It's almost like they're saying like all these other teams are more talented, but because the Warriors are experienced, that's what's going to carry them. And I'm like, the Warriors still have the talent advantage in most of these matchups. Like size and athleticism doesn't necessarily mean you're more talented, nor does youth. And so, I think that people are still really underselling the Warriors, even though I know they're the Vegas favorites. But I'm talking about when I see the media talking about it and what I'm seeing.
I'm so fascinated by this matchup. Like, okay, so look at it this way. The Phoenix Suns, they're 64 wins. And you called it even before, the Phoenix meltdown. You said, oh, it's a good matchup for the Warriors. The Warriors and the Suns, you were good with that. You liked that matchup. If it was, if Phoenix could have finished the deal. But they had 64 wins, and they have questions. Got a 37-year-old point guard. Who knows what's going on with him? DeAndre Ayton, they haven't signed him. They may be too cheap to sign him. Who knows if he comes back there? So we don't know what's going on with Phoenix. The number 2 team in the conference, you just beat them, the Grizzlies. You're the number 3 team. And then you look at the number 4 team, Dallas. So I'm just fascinated, Natalie, by the Warriors and their championship experience and what they have coming up, even though, Kuminga really wasn't a factor in the Memphis series. I love his upside. So I think he's going to be a star. I really do. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to be a star soon, like next year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the most improved player in the league next year. He's tremendous. Then you have Dallas with Luka, who's also knocked down a barrier, got out of the first round, and has helped carry the Mavericks to this position. I'm looking at these teams. I think Dallas and Golden State, for different reasons, are going to be a problem for the next 3 or 4 years. How do you see the first of many showdowns playing out this spring?
Yeah, it would be interesting because people kept talking about, the Warriors and Memphis are going to be a rivalry. And I don't think they've been talking about the Mavs. And we haven't had much of a rivalry yet. I mean, obviously, if you go way back, Mavs fans don't want to remember the series where we beat them and they were the number 1 seed, but
yeah,
we won't take them back to that traumatic experience. But
yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should maybe stop talking, first of all, about Luka in terms of carrying a team. I think he has a solid squad around him. I've always thought that it was a little bit excessive. I don't think it's just like Luka and a bunch of guys, you know, and they've showed it. They've won some playoff games without him versus the Jazz. Yeah. They've played well. Brunson has been consistent. So, I mean, he's just been playing well. So he is a true number 2. And then you've gotten performances from the other guys throughout the series when it matters. You know, Spencer was big in that closeout game for them. Not all series, but he comes off the bench. You don't need him to be good all series, but you want him to have like a couple of big games where he does what he does well, and that's score the basketball. So I think if they add some pieces, they can probably become more of a legitimate threat. I still don't think they're there as great as Luka is. But you know, people seem to think like this is going to be a 7-game series with the Warriors, that they're really going to push them. And I understand how great Luka is and what he's been doing, but I still think that the Warriors are the better team.
All right. So, no. Now, you said, hey, people think it's going to be a 7-game series. Natalie does not think it's going to be a 7-game series. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Are we talking about 5? Short series? 4 or 5?
Not 4. I mean, my hottest take would be that
5.
It's going to be a 5-game series, but it could go 6.
That's what you believe.
But I think you're asking me I'm going to say 5, and I'll take all the smoke if I get, you know, heat from that. Right. But I think it can go to 6. I don't think it's going to go 7 games. But if it does, then, you know, credit to the Mavs. I still will have the Warriors winning. And I say that, like, with the Memphis series, I predicted that to go 6. And I said, if the Warriors play to their level, it could be a 5-game series, but I thought the home court advantage tipped it in Memphis's favor. In this series, the Warriors have home court. They haven't lost at home yet throughout the postseason, right? And they always win a game on the road. They always do. So it's possible maybe that game doesn't come till later in the series and each team just holds home court, but they tend to usually win a game early in the series. And I just think that if they can grab a game, you know, 4 maybe, right? Even if they go up like, you know, 2-0. And so you know that if they did that, the Mavs are going to come strong. But if they can grab like a game 3 or a game 4, that's the route, I think, to it being a short series. However, you know, Luka's great. They're role players, and Brunson and everyone on that team, they can step up and perform really well. And maybe it will be a longer series, but that's what I think. So 5 to 6 game series. I'm leaning 5, but it could go 6.
All right, let me ask you this. All right, so you've got them. Let's say you're right. Say the Warriors win the series, they go into the NBA Finals, and most of the time when the Warriors are in the NBA Finals, the expectation is they're supposed to be there in this era. They're supposed to be in the NBA Finals, and most of the time they're favorites. Even the times they haven't won, they've been favorites to win it. So how about, and this is my final question for you, was that your expectation at the beginning of the season? Is that your expectation at the beginning of the postseason that the Warriors would be participating in the NBA Finals? Or is this a little bit of a surprise to you?
Not to me. I think it's a surprise to others. And I have all the receipts and proof. You can listen to all the episodes of All Nat Pod. You can check the tweets. But I've been saying this. So it's sort of interesting. It's interesting to people when they say, like, you know, oh, people are like revising things now. You know, people are acting like we didn't beat the Suns. They weren't a great team. This is like what the Mavs fans are saying. And I'm like, I didn't think like the Suns record reflected the team that they really were. And I, like you said, I said that when I was here. So these are things that I've been saying. If you pay attention to how the Warriors closed last season, I think they won 15 out of 20 games to close last season, right? And Steph, inserted Steph into the MVP conversation, and that he finished in 3rd. They were winning at a 60% win pace. Now, I need people just to think about who was on the squad with him. Klay Thompson was still out. Kelly Oubre was hurt for a lot of that point of the season. People might even forget he was on the team. James Wiseman wasn't playing, right? So Kent Bazemore was one of the starting players. He wasn't even getting playtime on the Lakers. Michael Mulder was one of the key rotation players. So outside of Dre, and you have Dre and Loon on the court who aren't giving Steph much space to work with when they're on the court. They're doing their jobs defensively, though. For them to close the season like that, I thought showed the team that they were. So I expected that just to continue coming into the season. And quite frankly, they did until some injuries started to hit them. And Steph had like that little mini slump for about not mini, it was an extended slump for him for about 20 plus games of the season. So to me, that was an indicator of what was to come. And the leader of the Warriors, Stephen Curry, said it best. When they lost that playing game to Memphis, he's like, teams won't want to see us next year. And he was right. So I think people just underestimated the Warriors and weren't paying attention, or, people just want the Warriors to be out because they're tired of the Warriors. But if you're actually looking at like the basketball, there was no reason to believe they still wouldn't be a contender this year.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Natalie, you have me so excited for this series. I can't wait. Game 1 tonight in San Francisco. Warriors, Mavericks for the right to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. See, like, y'all are so spoiled. Y'all so spoiled. You Warriors fans, you're not used to, like, you get to the Western Conference Finals and you say, well, this is our time. You won't even, when they lose that one game that you predict, when they lose that one, and they win the series 4-1, people go freak out when they lose the one game. Anyway, Natalie, you got to come back. We'll talk about it when the Warriors are on their way to the NBA Finals. Let's have another conversation.
Thank you. Would love to. Thanks for having me on, Michael. Take care.
Anytime. Good to see you. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.